Hello, this is Arturelia Gaming Room Reviews. I'm Arturo, and today I'll be reviewing Resident Evil 4 was actually the first Resident Evil game I've ever played. And then later I got Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil Raccoon City, and now I have Resident Evil 2. But Resident Evil 4 I heard was like one of the best games in the series. It kind of changed the formula to survival horror. Some say it was the greatest, but it was also the downfall of horror games, because then it led more towards action-packed horror, which isn't as scary. But what do I think of Resident Evil 4? Well, today I'm going to be reviewing Resident Evil 4, one of the first Resident Evil games I've ever played. Let's go. Set 6 years after Resident Evil 2, Leon, now working for the government, is sent to Spain on a mission to rescue the president's daughter. Though he will soon run into trouble. And this game has a lot of weird stuff, but that's what Resident Evil is. Weird stuff. But yeah, when he runs into trouble, it's these villagers that just want to kill him, or any intruder. And the plot starts from there. I really enjoyed the story. I really wanted to see what happened next. Now, I did kind of spoil a little bit of it on Wikipedia, but I didn't get much detail. But I gotta say, it was one of the best storytelling of Resident Evil 4. The soundtrack is really awesome. It does have that horror feel to it. Though for its horror side, yeah, I mean, you know, there are points that will make you jump or make you kind of intense, because if you're trying to reload a gun and that villager with a chainsaw is right after you, you know, that is intense. But in general, the game didn't really scare me, even though a lot of people say it's a scary game. Now, like other Resident Evil games before it, this took a different route with its action-packed survival horror. The atmosphere really makes you feel like you're in a horror story. The enemy will not stop until they kill you, and yeah, it can really get intense. But overall, the gameplay is really awesome and it's fun. But there are puzzle points where you have to figure out a certain puzzle in order to proceed through the game. And some are easy and some are hard. Now, the gameplay mechanics, as far as where you get your guns, well, there's this guy that sells anything and basically has a lot of weapons in store for you. But I will say, where you store your guns, a lot of people complain about this. It's the box system. You are only limited to how much you could put in a box. Now, you can make the box bigger, but still. The menu offers a lot of stuff, from Ada's story to Mercenary, like a survival horror, and another Ada story. Then when you beat the game, you can obviously look through the clips again. The camera works great, and the fighting and shooting, nothing wrong with it. Now, what also changes in the gameplay perspective is when you get Ashley, the president's daughter. She is your typical damsel in distress, and you always have to end up saving her. But when she is around you, she can help out in, well, maybe two ways, or a few. That's about it. There was one level where you had to protect her while she was reeling up something, and that part was actually very aggravating, as you had to deal with all these crazy creatures that were after you. You also had to protect her from these guys that would capture her, and if they capture her, well, it's game over. Though you can make her hide at points if you're in an area maybe surrounded, or you want to make sure she's safe. Make her hide. You even get one Spanish guy to help you on one mission, which was really fun. The Resident Evil series has a lot of interesting characters. There are a lot of interesting characters in here too. There is no multiplayer. For replay value, after you beat the game, well, you could play Ada's parts or the survival horror mode. And if you want to play the game again, you get a little bit of extra features like a costume or guns you can get, that sort of deal. I mean, in general, the story's just fun. The gameplay's fun, and it will just make you want to come back for more if you want. And not to mention, there is one thing that could possibly change if you didn't do it, which turns the outcome of one part for you, and that's kind of cool. As much as the gameplay is fun, it is also really challenging. depending on what you encounter. Either the chainsaw guy that you have to shoot many times before he goes down, certain creatures, and even obstacles and traps, etc., etc. You know, the game is challenging but really fun. And then you rethink, how can you do it this way? So you probably will be dying a lot, but you always want to come back for more. Resident Evil 4 was an awesome game and really fun to play. It wasn't scary, but it was just fun. I like the characters. I like Leon. He's badass. Ada too. And not to mention, you know, you kind of learn some Spanish words, even though it's hard to hear because they're creatures or whatever they are. And I liked the story, and I liked those impactful moments where you wanted to know what was going to happen next. And you got a lot of and you have certain abilities, and you could even change out your and you can even switch and change guns and also upgrade them. And this is my second time playing it, that you can upgrade how fast or how powerful you can shoot a gun. It's really awesome, and I believe that it's something you should get. I believe it's going to get a 9.5 out of 10. It is awesome, leading up to Excelente. I think one of the best Resident Evil games out there. Now for my recommendations, well, let's see. There's Resident Evil 5, which I, at this moment, have not beaten yet. Then there's Resident Evil 6. Though, you know, after a while, Resident Evil 5 wasn't that scary. Resident Evil 6, well, it got a little too actiony, like a Hollywood film. So you may have issues with that, but those are my recommendations. If you want to go back to the classics, here are all the first 3 classic games. Well, this is Arturelia Gaming Room Reviews, signing off.